Hey everyone, Happy New Year. Before we get on with today's video, I just wanted to quickly announce that I've been invited as a celebrity guest to this year's United Motorcoach Expo in Long Beach, California. This is a national bus event that takes place every year where bus company owners, directors, managers, as well as just your regular bus nuts, geeks, and enthusiasts from all over the US and Canada all get together to meet each other and basically exchange ideas, find solutions to industry issues, as well as to check out the latest and greatest in bus/motorcoach technology. There's going to be a giant showroom full of modern and future bus designs, as well as all the latest gear and tech that a bus company could dream of. The best part about the showroom is that there's going to be so much free swag that all these vendors put out. Bus swag. There's also all kinds of classes that you can attend while you're at UMA that's taught by industry experts, all kinds of food, booze, and even dinner events. So not only am I going to vlog the whole trip, I'll be doing a few live stream sessions while I'm there as well on this channel. So stay tuned for that. If you want to meet me in person and hang out, well then come out to Long Beach, California. I'll be there from February 23rd to the 25th. So be sure to sign up today at motorcoachexpo.com. Also put the link down in the description box below. With that out of the way, on with today's video. Happy New Year's, all you bus nuts, geeks, and enthusiasts out there. Welcome to another episode of Motorcoach World. My name is James, and I hope all of you had a wonderful Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, or whatever it is that you celebrate this time of year.
A Festivus for the rest of us!
Now, since I've started this channel almost a year ago, I've done videos mostly focusing on buses and motor coaches here in the US and Canada. Well, mainly because I work in the motor coach industry here in the US. But the Motorcoach world is so much larger than just the US and Canada, as I'm sure most of you agree. I mean, if you think about it, buses and motor coaches in other countries are used by the public so much more than the US and maybe Canada. I don't know much about Canada's bus use statistics, but unlike the United States and Canada, in most other countries, the majority of the population do not own their own cars, and they mainly take public transportation to get to where they want to go. So with that said, today we're going to venture out to the other side of the world and take a look at what buses and motor coaches are like today in the Eastern European countries, or also known as the former Soviet countries. If any of you ever plan to visit any of the former Soviet countries, countries like Ukraine, Belarus, Lithuania, Latvia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Estonia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Georgia. No, not the Georgia that's famous for peaches. This Georgia, the country. And who knows, maybe they have good peaches too. And of course, Russia. Is that all of them? Yeah, I think that's all of them. Well, anyway, if you ever plan to visit any of these places, which, by the way, I highly recommend Ukraine, as I've actually been there many times myself. Lovely place. Chances are you're going to find yourself traveling by bus at some point of your journey. People in this part of the world rely heavily on public transportation because they typically, once again, don't own their own cars. And because of that, these post-Soviet countries have a fairly decent rail and bus network. And despite some of them being third world countries, their train and bus systems are actually much better than that of the United States because, well, people rely on it more. With that said, the bus is by far still the most common and convenient means of transportation within as well as between cities. Because Europe as a whole is so much more densely populated than that of the United States, one would actually be able to travel to many different countries on a bus throughout Europe. For example, if you were visiting Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, and decided you wanted to go check out Venice in Italy, you could actually buy a bus ticket to get there rather than flying on an airplane. It would be about a 20-hour drive nonstop, and on the way you would cross through countries like Hungary, Slovenia, and maybe Slovakia and Austria, depending on the route that you take. But in post-Soviet countries, you tend to get more bang for your buck when traveling long distance on a bus. In countries like Ukraine, bus travel is also very cheap compared to that of the US as well as western parts of Europe. Depending on the time of the year and destination, the price will vary, but I did a search on Google to see how much a bus ticket would be from Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, to Milan, Italy, and it seems for $106 I can catch a one-way flex bus that would get me there.
What does it mean, exact change?
Just like in the US and Canada, in the post-Soviet states of Eastern Europe, there are many different kinds of buses. There are the intercity buses, which in most post-Soviet cities in Eastern Europe have very dense networks with lots of routes and can pretty much get you anywhere with very little waiting time. However, if you're used to traveling on city buses in the US and Canada, as well as Western Europe like England and France, you may have to lower your expectations a bit when it comes to the quality of these buses. On bus routes where there tend to be lots of tourists, one may find themselves riding on a nicer bus, such as the Laz E301D1 electric trolley bus, built by Lviv Bus Factory, found in larger cities such as Kiev. But if you're going to visit Babushka in her sleepy little village, you may get stuck on something a bit less glamorous. But on most bus routes, the most commonly used bus that one would find themselves on are these mini buses, also known as Marshrutkas, which literally translated into English as routed taxi cabs. In these post-Soviet cities, these Marshrutkas operate similarly to the city transit buses that we find in Chicago or smaller towns like Urbana, Illinois, where I live. They follow a timetable, a route, and their destinations are represented by a route number. The only difference is, compared to the buses that we're used to in the US, these Marshrutka are much smaller and, by Western standards, a much rougher ride. Among many other makes and models of minibuses, the most commonly found type of Marshrutka operating the intercity routes as well as rural region routes in Eastern Europe today are the PAZ models. Built by the Pavlovo Bus Factory, most common models used today are the PAZ 3205, which has a single accordion door, the PAZ 32051 with 2 accordion doors, the PAZ 3206, which offers all-wheel drive, and the PAZ 4234, which is the stretched wheelbase version, which is about 1.2 meters or 4 feet longer than the other models. All PAZ models are 7 meters long, that's 23 feet for those of us in the US, except for the PAZ 4234, which, as mentioned earlier, is about 4 feet longer, making the PAZ 4234 about 27 feet long. According to Wikipedia, the PAZ models have 130 horsepower engines, which seems a bit weak for what they do, and they have the capacity between 24 to 36 passengers, and with a stretched version holding up to 50 passengers. All of them are stick shift, which means they're probably a lot of fun to drive. Now, I could go on for the next 2 hours giving you all the technical specs and details on these rugged little buses, and if you guys want me to, I'll make an entire video on these things, as they do have a special place in my heart. Now, the term Marshrutka is loosely used in these post-Soviet countries. Despite the fact that the literal translation of the word Marshrutka is routed taxi, they're definitely not taxis, as there are plenty of those found for hire as well in this area of the world. The term Marshrutka is used for not only city buses that follow a timetable and a route, but also for privately owned regional minibuses that go from city to city, which also follow routes but with no actual timetable. So if you were to arrive in Boryspil International Airport in the city of Kiev and needed to take a bus to a different city, let's say the city of Uman, which is another city in Ukraine that's about 240 kilometers away, that's 150 miles for us Americans here, one could hop on a regional Marshrutka. Now, these are typically Mercedes transit vans, but they can vary from many different kinds of minibus models. But they're privately owned and kind of like taxi cabs. These Marshrutkas typically sit outside of an airport or bus/train station and advertise their destinations that they're going to through the windshield. Usually there's a little sign on the door. And although they follow a route, they typically don't leave until all the seats are full. Now, some are under contract from the airport or train station, and they actually do depart on a set time schedule. In Ukraine, the cost of a ticket to ride a Marshrutka to another city is typically going to be around 150 to 200 hryvnias, so between 5 to 10 US dollars for a trip like this. Tickets can usually be purchased from the drivers sitting outside of the airport or train station/bus station, or from the bus station itself. Now today, there is also an increase in online sales of tickets, especially for long distance and domestic routes. With all the similarities and differences between these post-Soviet countries and the way we do things here in the US, there's one thing that both areas of the world share, and that is the motor coach. Just like here in the US, in countries like Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, and all the other post-Soviet countries I listed earlier, there are privately owned motor coach companies. Some are large and well-established and well-known that provide line-run routes as well as private charters with a large modern fleet, and some are smaller with older fleets. There are also large public companies like Festivus, which is a German-based motor coach line-run company who recently purchased the US bus company Greyhound that provides many different routes throughout Eastern Europe. A ticket on one of these large coach buses from Boryspil Airport in Kiev to the same aforementioned city of Uman would cost about 10 to 13 euros, which is around 11 to 15 US dollars. Now, with the similarities also come the differences. Mainly the make and models of the buses used in this area of the world is going to be different than those you would find in the US and Canada. In fact, there's a lot more to choose from in Europe as a whole. A few popular make and models of coach buses used in Eastern Europe, as well as Europe itself, are the German-built Neoplans, Setras, and MAN, as well as the Belgium-built Van Hoels, which we also have in the US and Canada. The Swedish-built Volvo and the Chinese-built Higer are also buses that are commonly found in Russia and the rest of Eastern Europe. Now, guys and gals, this video only skimmed the top of the topic of what buses are like in Europe. Please let me know down in the comments below if you guys like these videos about buses and other parts of the world. And for those of you US bus lovers, don't worry, I'll still be doing lots of videos on the motor coach industry here in the US moving forward. I just wanted to see if this would also be a popular topic to expand on. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Again, Happy New Year's everyone, or as they say in Ukrainian, Szczęśliwego Nowego Roku. If you're watching this, you are part of the Motorcoach world.